Good evening, gang. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to do a little video now that I've been asked to do. Basically, we had a gala day a few weeks back, and one of the actual things that we had a competition, and it was used involving, or should I say, it was a competition involving using these small Depron models called the Spitty, the Bonsai and the Jupiter B. Now these little things, I thought, nah, I wasn't even going to build one to start off with, but it turns out it was a huge thing that I ended up doing, because not only are these models easy to build, but damn, they are fun. So I've built 3 so far, and I've been asked by a few of the members at the club to do a video on how to put them together and how to build them. So that's what this is going to be about, basically. I'll show you what these little things are, and like I say, they are made of Depron. You know, if building foam models and shaping foam and whatnot isn't your thing, then I think you might want to stick around with this, because they are pretty damn easy to build, and you can be made to look really nice. So let's go and have a look at them. Here they are, gang. These are the ones that I've made. That was the first one I made. That's called the Bonsai, and this one here is the Jupiter B. Now you can tell the difference between the two. This one I actually spent a lot longer putting together and taking my time with the sanding and getting it nice and smooth. The Bonsai was literally thrown together in the space of a day, just so it was a last minute decision, just so I could compete in the club's competition on Gala Day. However, they both are really good looking models, and they go together quite easily. Now, like I say, this one is made out of 6mm Depron, and it is made from XPS foam, which is similar to Depron. I got it from my local hardware store, and it was basically painted really quickly with some with a lacquer paint and whatnot, and then I just airbrushed the tiger stripes on it. It was done really quickly, and you know, it's not actually, you know, good quality, should we say, but it's still good enough to fly. And it's even a smaller motor than what they recommend. They actually recommend a bigger motor than what I was using. It was an Apex motor, I think, something like 1100 kV or something like that. But it's enough to fly it around. And you will see at the end of the video this one flying, because it's a little bit breezy out there, and I've already flown this one. So, you know, I did a video just to show you that one flying. And then this one here, this is made from 5mm Depron. It's slightly thinner Depron, but it is actually a far better quality build, because I took my time with this one. I didn't have to rush it like the Bonsai, and I tell you what, I love it. It's come out really nice. Got the recommended power supply that they suggest, which is a 22, is it a 2212, I believe it is, something like that. 1400 kV motor running on 3S 1300 milliamp battery, with a 25 to 30 amp ESC. The combination of all that together makes a really decent model. Now, like I say, this is made of 5mm Depron. That's made of 6mm. That I really rushed. This one I took my time. That one there is 100 grams lighter than the Bonsai. Whether or not it's the type of foam, I do not know. But the foam that I made this from is Hobbycraft foam. You can get it from Foam Board, Hobbycraft Foam Board, in the UK. You can buy it in sheets which are roughly around about A1 size, I'd say, something like that, and you can just get these models and all the components that you need to build these models on one sheet. Now the downside to it is that it is covered in paper, and it is heavy. So if you want to build the model with the paper on, you can. They still fly, but they are really heavy. But you can actually get the paper off. If you put the paper in some water, soak it in some water for about an hour, the paper just peels straight off. And that is what I did with this one, or should I say one of the fellow club members, because there's 3 of us that have built these now. And Kev, he was the one that he got all the paper off and whatnot. It literally takes an hour. Just soak it, let it soak in, and it just peels straight off. So anyway, this is basically how they need to be on the build sheet, and they are tight. And all these things that you can see, all these black things here, one of the club members CNC cut the templates out of Perspex, and well, this is what we use to draw around them. And as you can see, this is, like I say, it's about A1 size, and you can just get them on. So if anybody wants to go to Hobbycraft in the UK and buy a sheet, this is a sheet of the white board, foam board that they do. I think they do 4 for 12 quid or something like that. But yeah, you peel the paper off, and then this is how you lay them out. Now this one here is the Spitty that I'm doing, because obviously I've got the Jupiter B and the Bonsai already. So I'm using the Spitty as an example for building this model. And like I say, it is quite tight. You can make the templates, you can buy yourself a sheet of A1 cardboard, again from Hobbycraft, and you can print the plan out in A4 tiled. I've got a Facebook group that I've created called World Depron Warbirds, World Depron Dogfighters, that's it. Can't even remember what my channel's called. World Depron Dogfighters, and you've got the A1 size plan, and you've also got an A4 tiled plan, so you can print it out on a normal desktop. But then you can print out 2, cut them all out, cut all the templates out, stick them to the foam board, cut them out, and you can use cardboard, and then you can use the cardboard as templates to make some more, because trust me, when you've built one, you're going to want to build more. So anyway, I'll get it all marked out, and I'll show you what is basically left after it's all marked out, but you can see roughly the positions as they are. There is one other template that you will need, which is this one here, but you can't use that until you've actually copied the main wing, because as you can see with the white lines that I've marked on here, that is basically, that goes over this wing when you've drew it out, because that gives you the position basically of the ailerons on the actual model itself. So I'll get them all drawn out, and then I will show you what it's like after. Alright guys, you can just see the outline of the wing that I've done there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that piece, which will go roughly here, like so, and I'll just temporarily take this one here, because this lines up with the edge of the table there to make room. Put that in place, which is exactly perfect when it comes to fitting it together, and then I'll just position it over the plan so that it completely covers the template of the the area of the plan that I've drawn out of the wing. Get it together so not lined up. Once it is all lined up, you've basically got a complete wing section, but with the aileron positions marked out. So then what you do then is you just basically get your pen. Where's my pen? There it is. And then you can just draw out the ailerons using the template, if you make a template, like so. I mean, this is only going to work if you've got like templates and whatnot. So if you do make cardboard templates, this is what you'll need to do. And then that's it basically. And take that off, and then place this back up here where it needs to be, and then I can carry on drawing out the rest of the model. Okay, there we have it, gang. All the components have been put on to the board. I'll put some stills up, or I should do it now, that will come up on your screen so you can pause the video. So if you do build one of these, you'll be able to see the position of where the parts go. But yeah, that's exactly how you need to put it out. Now they are pretty much exactly the same, these models. The wing profile is the same, the fuselage profile is the same. The only real difference to the models are, to be fair, the tails. Now this is the Spitty tail that I'm doing here, and that's a tail plane. The Jupiter has got the same tail plane and elevator as the Spitty, but as you can see here, the fin is slightly different with the canopy position, and then the bonsai, I've actually got bonsai bits here as well. You can see the difference between the bonsai's tail plane. It's like straight edged, and the elevator again, as you can see, it's straight edged, but the more predominant thing is the actual fin. As you can see there, it is different. There is no canopy raise, it is just basically straight. So that's the difference between the planes, really, more than anything. So you can build the basic stuff, and then the only thing you'll need to change is the tail plane and the fin. And as I've been doing, you can actually use these models to create something yourself. And although it's in a bit of a sorry state at the moment because I'm in the middle of priming it and sanding it, I've built that using the same profile on the wing, using the same fuselage. I've just changed the tail plane, fin at the back, and of course the biggest thing is I put twins on, twin engine. But yeah, I'm still in the process of sanding this down before I paint it. I'm probably going to build another one because this one has been made out of that same frame as that, but it has also got board paper on it. This is before I found out that we can get the paper off by soaking it. So I'll see how this one flies, and if it feels a bit heavy, I may actually get another sheet and take the paper off and build another one. So right, let's crack on. I'll get it all cut out and then we'll start building it. There we go, gang. That's everything cut out. Now what you should have in your inventory of cut out polystyrene parts are the top and bottom of the leading edge of the wings. Then you've got the top and the bottom, the top and the bottom of the fuselage. You've got then 4 formers, F1, F2, F3, and the side brace. 2 fuselage halves. Make sure that when you glue them together that you glue them the right way around, because there is one higher than the other, as you can see. 1 wing section, which is your main centre wing section, 2 ailerons. Then you'll have your tail plane and your elevator, and then finally your fin. Now to power these models you've got like different combinations, but most people, they go with something like this. You've got these kind of motors here. For this one I'm using a Turnigy 2826 2200 kV motor. Bit overkill, but hey, who knows. Normally around about 1400 kV is what you want. Got an FMS 30 amp ESC, so 20 to 30 amp ESC depending will work. 3 9-gram servos, your 7x6 prop, and a 1300 3-cell LiPo. That is all you need to power these little models. So right, let's get building, and we'll see how long it takes, shall we? Well, I know how long it takes because I built 3 already. Right guys, we'll start off by building the wing. I'm using the template that that one of the club members cut out for us, just as a guide, just to make sure that everything lines up as it should. So you start off with the top and the bottom leading edges. So you can use hot glue or you can use Yoo-Hoo Pour. I use hot glue on certain things, but I tend to like using Yoo-Hoo Pour more than anything because it produces a nice firm fit, and it also gives you plenty of time to quickly work the stuff out. Where if you use a hot glue gun, if you smear it on and you screw it up, it dries too quickly. So when it comes to mating services like this, use Yoo-Hoo Pour. I'm not teaching you how to suck eggs, as they say, but I usually put a liberal amount of Yoo-Hoo Pour across the majority of the surface, because obviously you want to stick to as much as possible. And then just get a piece of scrap Depron foam board, whatever you want to call it, and then just smear it across the whole of the wing. like I saw. Making sure you get it right on the front of the leading edge and whatnot, because obviously that's going to be bonding. That's going to need bonding quite well. If you miss a bit, don't worry to go back, and then there we go, and then get the other section, do the same with that. Just give it a good coat of Yoo-hoo. Oh, I love this glue. It's awesome glue. It sticks really well. It also goes a long way. And again, spread it along all your edges. This does not melt the glue. There is something on these sheets of foam board that you get from Hobbycraft. I think what it is like there is a fair amount of glue that's probably seeped into the actual foam itself, so it looks like it's still soaking into paper, but it isn't, trust me guys, it's just the way it comes out. Ow. Okay, we'll give that a couple of minutes to go tacky, and then we can stick it on. Right guys, that's been a good 5 minutes. Make sure you get this on first time, because once it's stuck it ain't coming off. Not with Yoo-hoo pour anyway. Use the template to make sure it's lined up, and then squish it down. I've just got glue like a knob that obviously dropped onto the table. Get my fresh alcohol wipe. I'm running out of these, I need to get some more. Just wipe it off quick while it's tacky, it won't melt the glue, the foam. Oh, love the smell of these things. Right, stick that in my Ziploc bag, keep it fresh in case I need it later, which I probably will. Squeeze the air out. There we go, that's that one done. That's that side. And now flip it over and basically do the same again with the other side and stick the other leading edge down as well. I'll come back to you when that is done. Right gang, that's the top and the bottom of the wing all done now. It's going to need to be sanded down. Get the leading edge sanded down, because if it's not sanded down it won't go in wing, you know what I mean? So, and get the leading edge sanded down. I use 2 different types of sandpaper. This one here is quite a coarse, this is 80 grit sandpaper. Might be a bit violent as you reckon, but it takes the worst of the actual Depron off, foam off, and then once I get it roughly to the shape I want, and then I use these soft sponge pads that's a real fine grit. You've got like 200, 400, and then the last one is 800 grit, really fine, so you can get a really nice smooth finish with them. So, but it's entirely up to you how you want it finished. If you want it to look really nice and good, you can take your time with the sanding, or you can just and done. Yeah, gang, don't do what I did. I forgot to put carbon rod in. Right, it doesn't matter because I can put mine at the bottom here, on the bottom of the wing, but before you sandwich the top and the bottom leading edge on, get a piece of carbon rod about the length that you can see here, and in the position where you see it, so it'll be underneath the top and the bottom of the leading edge sections. In the main wing bit you've got to do it. So cut a strip, use a piece of 5 or 6 mil carbon rod, and then cut a strip, put it in, put a little bit of glue in there if you want to, a bit of hot glue or something just to hold it in place, and then sandwich it in between the two top and bottom formers. That's Russian, that's maybe forget that, but it doesn't matter because I'll just cut out this bit, drop it in, and then I can fill it. So I've been on the wiser. Back in a bit. Alright guys, there we go. That's the profile sanded down. I don't know if you can see that, but it's nice and rounded at the top and the bottom, nice and smooth. Gone over with some rough sandpaper to get the worst of it out, and then a nice smooth one to fit. Didn't see that bit. To finish it off, I'll get some lightweight filler, lightweight body filler, not body filler, git gap filler as they call it, lightweight filler. And then when the whole model's finished, I'll just smear it into the pores that are still like visible, and then sand it all down. A very nice finish. That is it for me tonight. It is nearly 9 PM. It is dark outside, and I'm going to get abducted by aliens and left on the side of the road like roadkill. So I'll see you in the morning, guys, and I'll carry on then. Morning, gang. It is the next day, and we've had wind all week. It's been horrendous, and as you know, I suffer bad with wind. And today it's the weekend. There is no wind at all. Right, now I'm going to try something different here. When it comes to putting the fuselage together, you're supposed to do one side first on the wing, and then you put the backing plate on and then slide the other side on, but it becomes a little bit awkward. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make the fuselage in one piece. We'll try and make the fuselage in one piece and see if I can fit it on that way. If not, I'm going to at least put the formers on and then put the other side on after it's been slidden in place. So make sure that you got the fuselage sides the right way around. The thickest part is the top, and the thinnest part is the bottom. And get former F2 and blob it on there. Just get a piece of scrap Depron as well, because what you want to do basically is once the actual hot glue is on there, just run a piece of scrap Depron down there and smear it all across so it forms a nice fit. Right, if you've got a triangle, set square, something like that you can use to make sure that the form is straight, or anything that you know is square. I've got this piece of hardwood here which I know is square, so use that to make sure that you get it in the right place. And it needs to be, the back end needs to be here, not overlapping, but just behind where the wing trailing edge stops. And then, like I say, just glue that into place and use something square to make sure that it's nice and straight. I'm going to draw a line where the form's got to go, and that way then I need to know that, then I can put the glue just to the left of it, and then don't need a lot. Grab me square, grab me former, put it in place like so, get me scrap while it's still there, then just scrape the excess glue. And then that's that bit sorted. I'm going to give it about a minute or so to dry. If you do it too much glue, it melts the polystyrene, so try and be sparing with a hot glue. If you've got a hot glue gun that's got a medium and a hot temperature, use that, because you can put it on the medium and it'll still be good enough for you to glue without melting the foam. Right, gang, next is F1, which is where your firewall is mounted. What I do to make sure that the firewall goes in the right place, I just get the motor's X that you mount onto the wood, and I just bring it in line with a prop adapter on to where the prop is going to go, just so that it sticks out nice. And then I just press lightly over the actual foam to make 2 little indentations. That way then I know that this piece of wood, make sure I get it the right way wound, then I know then if I put that there, that is exactly where it needs to be for the motor to go. Now you've got a gap at the top and the bottom, so you can use that to feed your wires through for your electronic speed controller. These are the same height, F1 and F2, so make sure you get them the right way around. But I've cut a F1 from Depron, and then I've plated over the top of it 1/16 ply, and then I've got 1/8 balsa behind, so it gives you plenty of area to glue, but also it bites into the screws nicely. But when I drill the holes and put the screws in, what I do then is just put a drop of cyano into the foam, into the polished balsa wood, I'll get it right in a minute, at the back, and then that way it holds the screws in a lot better once you've done that. So that is going to go like so. So we need to mount the motor onto this now, or at least get the motor mounted in place so that we know where the actual motor has got to sit, so it's central. Let's just take this off here because I've got it connected to the Escapade at the moment, and it don't need to be. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place the motor about there so that it's in the middle. I know that it's roughly got to go that way, like so, and then I'm just going to mark out the X plate position on the plywood with my black pin. Mark the holes. I am not teaching you to suck eggs here, guys. I'm sure most of you know how to mount a motor. For those of you who don't, you shouldn't be building this model. So I've got the holes marked up there, and then I'm just going to get a hand drill and just drill those holes out. Okay gang, time to glue in F1. I've put a couple of degrees of side thrust on the motor mount. You don't have to, but I've done it on all the other models and they all fly fine, especially if you've got a bit more powerful motor. And don't forget to include side thrust, so don't just whack it in straight up. Just give it a couple of degrees of side thrust. Doesn't need a lot. And then again, get your scrap balsa or foam and just squeegee the back out, and then check your angle again, make sure it's not too much. It literally is a couple of degrees. I'll show you in a minute once that glue has gone off. Give it a couple of minutes or a minute or so to go off. It didn't take long. There you go guys, you can see there with this former how much of a gap there is at the top. It is hardly anything at all. So just make sure you got a couple of degrees, but make sure you go the right way. So when you look at the model from behind, it needs to be pointing to the right, not the left, to the right. Right gang, now we've done that, I've put the motor on the wrong way around. Oh, what a knob. Hang on a minute guys. Right gang, just quickly before I put the sides together, I've come up with an idea, which is basically something that you do on wooden models with sheeted sides and sheeted tops. You run triangulars or square strips along the edges on the top on both sides of the fuselage, and then what that allows then is when you sand it nice and smooth, it gives you a little bit more area to sand down. Because I did find that when I did the Jupiter, I sanded a little bit too close to where the joins were, and it made it pretty weak, so I had to put some fibre tape down the sides to stiffen it all up. So with your scrap bits of foam, that you should have enough scrap bits of foam from your sheet, just cut about 8 or 9 lengths of foam strip, about 5mm square, and then literally glue them using Yoo-hoo pour or something all the way along the edges on both the top and the bottom on both fuselage sides. Like I say, it gives you a little bit more leeway than when it comes to sanding. You can sand some bigger curves in. So I'm just going to do that now, and then I'll come back to you when it's done. Helps if you use the right bit, don't it, Rob? Duh. There we go. So that's what I mean, guys. You got strips at the top, at the bottom, and then when you put the top and the bottom fuselage halves on, it just gives you more area to sand down, so you can make the fuselage a lot more rounded, which you'll see later on when I come to do it. Right, now, remembering which is top and which is bottom, the tallest bit, the highest bit is the top, and the smallest bit goes on the bottom. So we'll now get the fuselage side, and we'll slide it into place. Delete. And it should go in really nicely, all being well. Hope you can see this, guys. Perfect. Right, now you're going to make sure you've got equal amounts so that it's nice and straight, so you can get the other side, put that bit on, no glue, not yet, slide it into place. Should be just, there we go, a nice fit like that, and then just basically eyeball it and get it lined up so that it is nice and straight. Now then, do you know what I've done? I forgot about that bit there. I'm just going to cut that out. I went round the other one because obviously it was already on the fuselage side, but on this side it wasn't. Just knock that out. There we go. That's better. There we go. Right, so that is basically what you do. Now you need about 10mm, something like that. Just swing it around on either side of here and here, on both sides of the fuselage. Right, if you do that, that is roughly in the middle, and then you can see where the center of the wing is. You can actually mark it because you've got like a little apex, like so. So you can mark it where the apex is, and then just slide your other side across so that it meets in the middle nicely, like that. And then once you're happy that it's all nice in place and it's all nicely lined up, you can then run a bead of hot glue down the side here. Use your scraper to scrape the worst off down that side, let it set, and that's all it needs to hold the wing in. You can then turn it over for added security, and then do the same on the other side. Just put a bead of glue either side of the wall between the wing and the side of the fuselage. Scraper, scrape it nice and level, and then let it set. So I'll sort that out and then I'll come back to you when it's done. Right gang, I've just done a quick measurement from the side of the fuselage to the wingtip. It needs to be 298 millimeters from both sides. So if you get your ruler, I think it was 298. Yeah, 298 millimeters from the side of the fuselage there to the very wingtip. The actual wingtip here should be 298 millimeters. If you got that both sides, then the fuselage is dead down the middle of the wing. So once you've got that all marked up, you can temporarily pin it if you want to, just to make sure it doesn't move. But then, like I say, just tack it with some with some hot glue, and then smear it in place to hold the wing into place. Okay gang, next thing you want to do is you want to get format F3. Now on the plan it shows you to position it about here, but the centre of gravity is 60 millimeters back from the leading edge. So if you roughly get a marker pen, and then on the inside just mark where 60 millimeters is, just on the inside of the fuselage on both sides, and then you can get format F3 and place it basically in line so that the plate is in the centre, like so, because what this does is it basically acts as a sandwich wedge for the ESC, but also when you throw the model, when you hand launch it, you'll be holding it in the centre of gravity, and it just stiffens this area up so it stops it from like creasing and folding in every time you launch it. So just mark your centre of gravity out and then place the actual piece of Depron right where the CFG is, about a centimetre from the bottom of the fuselage, just here, and just get your hot glue gun and then smear a stab. I keep turning my hot glue gun off every time I put it down. I've got to wait for my hot glue gun to warm up again now. But just position it there, like I say, right in the centre of the where the centre of gravity is, about a centimetre from the top of the fuselage, and then it just stiffens it up a lot better. I mean, it goes quite hard when you get the base on, but it just stiffens it up a bit more then for the actual hand launching process. So I'll wait for my hot glue gun to warm up again, and then I'll glue that in place, and then we can install the electronic speed controller. Right, now we've got that glued in place, guys, we're going to fit the ESC, but what I recommend you do first before you do that is connect your electronic speed controller up to your motor without the prop on. I will say without the prop on, and then just hook it up to a servo tester and then plug it in and make sure that the motor is going in the right direction. So you just grab that, turn that all the way down, beep, right. That's got a brake on, that has, hasn't it? Yeah, brakes on. Motor's going the right way, but the brake's on it. We'll just try and get another ESC that I might have. Okay gang, we can fit the ESC in now. If you hear farty noise in the background, because Richie's out there doing his 3D stuff with his helicopter. Right, you can either mount the ESC underneath here or on top. If your ESC is thin enough, you can do it on top, because it will get sandwiched in place when you get like the cover on the bottom of the aircraft. So it's entirely up to you where you do it. I'm going to go underneath because, well, I can. So I'm going to get some Velcro and stick it to the bottom of the ESC like so. I'm just going to get a dob of U-hoop hole, squirt that in there, because what that does is it just gives a nice little layer of stuff for the Velcro to stick to. I mean, the Velcro's adhesive is pretty good anyway, but I just prefer to put some of this down because it just makes it stick a little bit more. But like I say, you can do it on the top there if you want to as well. It doesn't really make a difference. So I'll let that quickly go off, and then I can mount the ESC. Right, there we go. ESC is now in. Now I've got an abundance of cable. Your receiver will be sitting in here, So that is where you'll make your top hatch. I never bothered cutting out the hatches like they do. I just made one complete long sheet and then I cut the hatches out afterwards. But it does show on the plan that you put your battery here, but I find there's actually more room up the top here, and you'll find that it'll probably sit around about here somewhere. So what I then do is I cut a small hole. Where's my finicker? Where's my knife? There it is. Cut a small hole just behind the leading edge of the wing, just there, just big enough to fit the XT60 through, or whatever plug it is you're using on your ESC. And then I'll feed the wire through to the top of the wing before I sheet the top and the bottom, because you can't do it once you sheet it top and bottom, not very easily anyway. Just pop that out, and then you can feed not your ESC wire, just the battery wire, can then go through and in there like so, and you pull it through to the top, and that way then you've got plenty of room for your receiver, which will go on the bottom, and then you've got plenty of room for your wire to go like so, depending on where you put your battery. But like I say, your battery will probably sit here. I do recommend that you put Velcro on here to hold your battery in place, because it will move about, and these are centre of gravity critical. You get it too far back and then too far forward. So, but yeah, that's how you fit your ESC. So we can go now to the stage where we fit the tailplane at the back, and you'll need a scrap piece of Depron for that, because you'll need to pull the tail in like so, and then fit your tailplane in place and glue it while you've got it taped together. So if I find my tailplane, where's my tailplane? There it is. Find my tailplane. Don't need your elevator, just the tailplane itself. And what I recommend you do is, so you know exactly where the centre is, because it doesn't mark it on the plan, just measure the actual thing itself. It's almost 30. It's about 32 centimetres. So if I remember rightly, you're looking at 16 centimetres to the centre. Let's just make sure that's right. 15. I cocked up. 16 centimetres. Marked it in the wrong place, didn't I? Move that out of the way. Sure it's 16. Yeah. 16 centimetres is the centre. So mark that there. And then I'm going to use that to go on the top. The bit there where the line that you use to mark it out on the sheet, I'll put that on the bottom. So then if you mark the other side like so, or just mark the other side and not the bit that you don't want showing, and then get a square of some sort that you can use to mark the line's centre point right the way across. Right guys, you get this piece of scrap Depron. This one's probably about 1.25 inches, something like that, and you need to line it up. Get off. You need to line it up where the leading edge of the tailplane is going to go, inside the fuselage, and then you pull the fuselage sides together and eye it up with the top, with the centre of the former to the centre of the former here, and make sure that it is in the middle. And then once it is in place and you're happy with that, and you know that the taper is exact, just quickly get a piece of glue, get some hot glue, and just smear it on the inside of your former, and get a bit of scrap and push it down so that it covers the whole of the former in place to hold it in. Just do it on the back, you don't need to do it on the front yet, because you can oops, get off, you can line it up with the tailplane later on and glue the rest of it in. I've just got some hot glue dripping my fingers and it hurts. Ow! I've come apart now, look. Get in there. That's it, just get it all lined up nice. and then just hold it there for a minute or so, and just until it sets. And then once it has set, you can then start sliding in the tail plane and adjusting the back here to make sure that the tail plane is level with the wing, because you don't want it skew with, because it'll make the plane fly funny, won't it, if you do that. Right, if I let that go now, that should be, there we go, that's now in place. So that's now set. You can actually put a little dab of glue if you want, just to be extra secure on the top there, but don't go down to where the leading edge of the tail plane is going to fit, or else you won't be able to get your tail plane in. Once you're happy, guys, with where the position of the tail plane is and that it's nice and level, like I say, smear the inside with glue. I hate this stuff, it's stringy as hell. Hold it in place until it sets. Keep an eye out, sure that your tail plane is still level. I've had to pack mine out at the bottom, which is why I've done it underneath, because you don't see it underneath, but I will trim the wood off in a minute so that it fits nicely in there. I'll show you in a sec. That should be dry enough now, and it is. So if I turn it over, you'll see where, to get the level, the elevator level, I've had to pack a piece of 1/16 balsa underneath to get it all to line up properly with the wing. So what I'm going to do now is just remove that quickly, because the top half is now set. I'm going to cut that to 5mm, cut a 5mm strip, which I can then wedge underneath here. Cut it nice and straight ish. So then I can slide that back underneath there, like so. Doesn't always happen with these models, guys. Depends on how well you cut them out and whatnot, and I got to misalign slightly, but it doesn't matter, because like I say, you can fill gaps like this to get the tail plane lined up properly with little bits of packing wood right to the end like that. Get it lined up, and then I can press that down in place and just get some hot glue and squirt a bead of glue, then smear it to let it set. Just hold it in place for a couple of minutes, or a minute or so. Just make sure that you're still lined up, which we are. That wood won't come out now because the glue's holding it in place. And then once that's dry, just do the same on the other side. Nice bead of glue. He says, come on. Hold it down, and then just smear the glue where you joined it. There we go. And then just hold that there again for 30 seconds or so for the glue to go off. And that is me tail plane finished then. Right, I'll come back to you when that's dry and I'll show you what's left to do. Right gang, I'm going to put the top on, but before I do that, I've made this up with a piece of balsa, 1/4 inch balsa, and I've just wrapped basically some quite coarse sandpaper. I'm just going to go backwards and forwards over the top and over the bottom of the aircraft, so it creates a nice flat even surface for the top and bottom to go onto. But I'm going to do it outside because it gets dusty as buggery, so I'll do that and then I'll come back when it's done and we can stick the top and bottom on. Okay gang, before we do the top and the bottom, just get whichever part it is you're doing first. In this case I'm doing the bottom, and put a bit of a curve on, as they say, and all I do is I just get a rattle can like so, and I just do that. Just literally push it along, and as you can see it creates quite a nice curve. Just makes it easier when it comes to putting it on the model, and it stops the springiness. Put a little bit more at the front than what you would normally do, because obviously that's where the most sharpest corner is, and then you're ready to go on. Now you can, if you've got like a counter or an edge of a work surface that's curved, you can pull that around a little bit more to give it a little bit more curve, because this bit does become quite springy. So we'll just do that quickly and then we can stick it on. Ching. I've got a friend. There you go, literally just quickly do that, and then you'll find that it will sit quite nicely from front to back. Now the back end has got to reach the end of the tail plane there. Can you see that? But obviously you've got a square edge, so what you're going to need to do is get some sandpaper and give that a chamfered edge so that it sits flush against the tail plane. And you're looking at probably about ½ an inch or so. Let me just get my sanding block. Again, this is quite coarse sandpaper. Just hold it on the edge of the table and then literally just drag it like so. Go, and that gives you a nice chamfered edge that you can see there, and that'll butt up against the tail plane. But don't glue, let's just get it back, don't glue all the way across here, just glue here, because you're going to be trimming this part off. You're going to be trimming that bit off on the sides there, so you don't want to glue it all the way across. So just put some glue there and then put the glue across the top of the fuselage to the very end on both sides. But use Yoo-hoo pour, do not use hot glue, because you can't get it done quick enough before the glue goes off. So I'll just do that now and then I'll come back to you when it's done. Right gang, let's get this Yoo-hoo pour on. You don't need a lot, but make sure you just run a bead all the way along the fuselage. Don't forget the chamfered bits that you've added, because obviously you want some glue to go over there, because if you don't, then it's just going to lift away again from the corners. So do it all the way across. The good thing about Yoo-hoo pour is it doesn't go off like hot glue. It gives you a chance to get it in place, get your part in place and whatnot. And do the same all the way down. I'm doing the bottom first, as you can see. Quickly do that like so, and then grab your piece of top section, put it on the tail, give it a rub, get it all lined up, just press it down and then just push it backwards and forwards slightly so that the glue covers the whole of the section that you want, like so. And then people that have used Yoo-hoo pour know that you've got to then take them apart, let them dry tacky for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then you can stick it back on. But make sure you get it lined up right first time, because once it's down it ain't going off again. So I'll get that stuck on in a minute and then we'll do the other side. Right gang, you can see we've got the top and the bottom of the aircraft now fitted. It's got to be trimmed. Now some cases people will put the tail in, which you can always check to see if it fits all right first, make sure the tabs line up. In this case it does perfectly, but it just gets in the way when it comes to sanding the actual fuselage down. Now this is the messy bit because it does take a while, but trim the back edges of the actual fuselage off. Where's my long blade? It's gone. Trim these bit off with the fuselage where it tapers back on both top and bottom, and then you can carve a nice big wedge off the sides, because we've got that bit in the middle that we put on the sides of the fuselage. So once you've done that, you can then start to shape the fuselage and make it quite nice and round, to be honest with you. So that's your next step. I'll cut my fuselage sides off first, and then I will come back when it's done, and then we'll go to the sanding process. Right gang, as you can see I've cut a big wedge off the sides, onto the corners on both sides. I'm now going to use my standing block sanding block, and I'm going to shape it a lot more rounder, and then once I've got the basic shape, I'll use the soft pads, as you can see that I've used quite a lot, to smooth it all out. But I'm going to do it off camera because it's going to take a while and it gets really messy, so I'm going to go and do it outside. Back in a bit. Right gang, you can see now I've sanded it down to a nice rounded fuselage, but it's still a bit rough. That's because it's got open pores. So this is where that comes in. This is Wix's ready mix lightweight filler, and I basically use this on where all the sanding has been done. I just get my finger and just rub it all in, let it dry, and then sand it down again with some wet and dry, with a wet sanding pad I should say, very fine, and it smooths it out a lot better. Let that dry, and then we can finish assembling the model, and then we can start varnishing it to seal it all in before we can paint it. So I'll do that bit now, and I'll come back to you when it's all covered in leprosy. Literally, you can see how thin it is, guys. Just smear it in where you've done all the sanding and whatnot. It's not going to hurt it because it's lightweight filler anyway, like I say. So don't be afraid to put it on. Just be careful if it's an oldish tub and you get like dried bits that may have formed on the outside, because it'll scratch the surface if you're not too careful. But you can, if you're gentle with it, you can feel them anyway. But just literally smooth it all in, and then oops, and then do the same on the wings. It's a messy job, but it does finish the model off quite nicely. It tends to fill in a lot of those pores, as I call them, that can be left open from when you've been sanding the foam. So we'll get all that done, and then we can start sanding that down and prepping it for its first coat of varnish. Okay gang, I've got it all dry. So basically the plan now is to get one of the soft pads and go over it, smooth it all out, and then I can start coating it with a varnish to seal it all in place. So get that done, then I'll come back to you in a bit. Right guys, I'm going to chamfer the leading edges of the ailerons, but I'm only going to do one side. That's the wrong one. I think that goes on that side. Indeed it does. Where's it this time? This time. Yep, that's it. So I'm just going to chamfer the bottom edge by doing this. Put it on the edge of a table. Make sure it's a workbench and not your wife's kitchen table, because she'll go nuts. And then just grab your sanding block and then hold it at an angle like so. Keep it steady, and then just nice even movements. And there we go, one nicely chamfered edge. And then do the same with the other side. That's the bottom, that's a bit there. Again, up against the table at an end, and stop moving. And there we go. That's them both done. I've actually done the elevator off camera, done that, but do that exactly the same way. But you mount them so that the chamfered edge is at the bottom, so your hinge tape will be at the top, and it'll be able to do that then basically. So while it's drying, I'm going to fit these onto the wings, and the elevator will be fitted on, and I'm going to also put this in now. I've sanded this round as well, you can see that it's now nice and round. I've done the same with the leading edges of the elevators, so this should just slide in here and slot in. Oh no, there's some bit of filler there. That should just slide in nicely like so. And I'm going to stick that down with Yoo-Hoo Pour, and then I'm going to run a bead of glue of hot glue along there and just smear it in so it stiffens it up a bit. And then once that's done, I can put the ailerons and the elevator on, and then it should be ready to have its first coat of what I will be using, PVA white glue, which I just put on with a sponge, let it dry, and then give it a quick sand down with wet and dry, or should I say with a wet. Didn't want that anyway. Then just wet one of these down and then sand it down smooth once it's completely dry, and then you can paint it. Once it's painted, you can varnish it. So I'll get these all fitted on now with the hinge tape, and then we'll prep it for the first coat of PVA glue. Well, the tape I'm using for the hinges, guys, is micropore tape. Well, this is a fibre tape, but it is used in the medical industry. It's really sticky, and when you coat it with the PVA, it soaks into it, but it still allows it to be flexible for the hinge. So yeah, you can get this off Hammerman. So just put a strip across the aileron on the top piece first, just pull it back slightly, and then line your aileron up, making sure that you've got a gap between each section, because you don't want them touching each other, touching the sides. And then you literally just press it down nice and level, like so. And then you can see there we've got one hinge, but I will be doing the other side. I'll tip it up like that and I'll put a strip on the other side as well, but I'll do the top one on this side. Just cut a tear strip off, line it on top of the aileron. Yeah, did it nice and straight. And just trim the edges with the ailerons. Trim the tape off, I should say. And then the same on the other side. And then we do exactly the same as what we just done on the other aileron. Make sure we've got a nice gap between each side of the wing, like so, and then just press it nice and level. There is actual hinge tape that you can buy, but I find this stuff works just as good. See, I got it flying me bleeding here. Where's it catching? It's just catching that bit there. So just get a piece of sandpaper block and just there we go, it stopped. Oh, there's a spider. Bloody things are all over the place today. And then turn it over, and then you don't have to go edge to edge. Get another piece like so, cut the end straight. Get off, don't want that, get off. And then pop it right in the centre on the hinge point, like so. And then fold it over the top of the bottom of the wing, and then the other bit over on the aileron. And that means then you've got a double hinge on both sides. Like I say, once that's coated with PVA glue and it's gone off, it's still quite flexible, but it stops the tape from tearing as well. That's just folded in under it, so. And then do the same on the other one, on the other side. Actually, that's not glued in. Don't want that bending. Like I say, it doesn't have to go all the way across the span of the aileron because you've got that on the other side. But as long as it's most of the way. And then again, centre of the aileron, like I saw. Press it down nice, not too hard because you don't want to push the leading edge over the wing. And there we go. That's that side done. Right, and then last but not least, we have the heffilator. Again, the tapered bit at the bottom, same process, tape all the way over on the edge, like so. Trim the tape, trim the edges, follow the contour of the actual elevator, don't cut it straight. Get off. This stuff is really sticky, look at that. Can't get it off now. Oh, damn it. And then same on this side. Like so. And then line it up end to end. He says, there we go. And just smooth it down. And get a knife and just trim these edges here. That's it. And then flip it over, bend it over, that's what she said. Cut the tape. In the centre, on the hinge. And then fold it down onto the elevator on both sides like that. If you've got any overhangings, just trim them off with your scissors or a knife, and there we go. That's the elevators, the elevator and the ailerons fitted. Right, go for the fin now, because the actual where's my used ball? Because the actual fuselage is dry now after me wiping it over. Let's get your ruler, just a temporary thing, hold it tab to tab, just do a bead of glue right along the fuselage length down to the end, and whack a bit on the sides in the tabs, and the same on the back. I feel like I'm doing a flight test video, like so. And get your tail plane, slide it in from the back, she said, like so. Push the tab in, and then just give it a little bit of a wiggle to put that glue all over the bottom of the tail plane. And if you've got one handy, I missed a bit, didn't I? I missed that bit there. That's it. And if you've got an alcohol wipe handy, here's one I made earlier, just press the tail down and then wipe what glue is sticking out or gets pushed out, like so. Put that back in its bag, keep it fresh, and then pull it off and let the glue go tacky, and then you can stick it back down again. Right, that's been a good 5 minutes now. This is where you've got to be quick, because this stuff once it touches, it sets. You've got to push this in quite quickly, because if you don't, that's what happens. Bugger nuts. Separate that a little bit, so I can close it up after. Should have left it really, shouldn't I? There we go. That's in. And then quickly push that tab in there as well. Go on, down you go. He's doing it again. Go on. Gosh dang it. Come on out. There you go. That is stuck fast. Let's open this up a little bit more. There we go. That's better. That's in. Make sure it's nice and straight, which it is. Push the tail section in. And then get a piece of scrap foam and then just run a bead, literally a light bead, all the way down here, like so, and then just get a piece of scrap and run it down like so, making sure that the tail's straight. Just do the one side first, hold it straight so that it's nice and 90 degrees with the wings. There. Oh, I'm getting cramp in my hand. Okay, and then do the same on the other side. Just a nice light bead all the way down. Make sure the glue comes out first. Yes, stop me. And then stringy stuff. Hold it in place. Keep it 90 degrees to the wing again. Like bloody spider's web stuff this is when it gets all stringy. It's one thing I hate about hot glue. There we go. That's now set. Now what I do, the stuff that I used to do the hinges, just to stiffen it up a bit, I'll get a strip and where the edge is, because it does sometimes come away, as you can see there, look. In fact, I'll put a bead of glue, just a tiny bead of glue. Where's my phone? Ow, ow, ow. Just put a tiny little bead of glue in there and close that up. And then wipe it off. Yeah, to get some of the tape, this tape here, and then I run it along the edge, all the way along on the top, and then I do it again on the bottom, but I go across the whole base of the model, because this bloody hot stuff. Then that way, because the bottom's got tape all the way across, when you put PVA, it actually hardens the bottom of the aircraft off, so it doesn't damage it so much, if at all, when you skid it in on the landings. So just pull a strip of this, so that length. Good stuff this is. It sticks really well, and like I say, when you go over it with PVA glue, it soaks into the tape, and then just literally place it on the corner, because it's quite flexible. You can see it hugging the side of the fuselage already, and then stretch it over at nose, and then just smooth it down. Like so. trim the end off, and then do the same on the other side. Just rip it because I can cut it after. Whoop. Dang it, it's folded in itself. Got it. Same again. Flatten it down nice. And then again trim the end off. And that's it. And then you do the same on the bottom, go over the edges, but do another strip halfway down where the trailing edge of the wing starts, and do it in the middle as well, because then when you glue it, like I say, you've got all this hardened area. Alright, so I'll get that done and then come back to you. And there we have it, guys. That is the main construction of the Warbird Dogfighter, as I call it. This is the Spitty complete, and as you can see, they look pretty damn snazzy, to be fair. Right, I'm going to go through the whole process now of protecting it all by painting PVA glue on it. It hardens it up. Don't worry about the weight, because these things, they come out at about, well, let's put it this way. That bonsai there, that came out at 453 grams with 3mm Depron. It was 6mm Depron. And the Jupiter, that came out at 250 grams with 5mm Depron with the same setup. So, like I say, they're pretty quick and they're pretty powerful. So I wouldn't worry about adding a little bit of weight, because even if you get it to, like I say, 450, nearly 500 grams, they still fly nice. So don't go liberal with it, but give it a, you know, a good coat, seal it all in and whatnot, and it makes a nice base as well for when you come to paint it. So I'll do all that now, leave it to dry, and then we can start painting. Okay gang, it is the next day. I coated this with PVA glue last night before I left, and it is now gone obviously hard, and it is giving me a nice finish. I've just got to quickly sand it down with one of the sanding pads. Not wet, just normal dry sanding pad, because it's PVA glue. If you wet it, it'll make the glue go soft again. But just give it a nice coat, a nice sanding I should say, get it all nice and smooth, and then we'll start painting it. So it is now time to do the airbrushing. Now, not everybody's got access to an airbrush like me. I've got a compressor and an airbrush that I use, but you can actually use other paints on these rattle cans that you can buy. Excuse me. So yeah, whatever you've got available, then use, as long as you make sure that it does not melt polystyrene. Now, all the paints that I use are acrylic based, thank you. So it doesn't matter what paint I use, as long as it's acrylic based, and it'd be the same for you. If you use cellulose based paints, it's going to melt it. So I'll put you in time lapse mode while I do all this, and then I'll come back to you when it's had its first coat.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down.
Right gang, that's the first coat. As you can see, it is going to need a second. But any of you that are interested, if you are going to be airbrushing your own models with your own compressor and airbrush like myself, the paints that I'm using are these. They are Vallejo Model Air colours, and this is just basically red. Why am I painting a Spitfire red, you ask? Well, those of you around about my age know that back in the 70s there was a Spitfire flying around that was red in colour, and it was registered G Spit, and it was one of a few aircraft in the UK that were painted all red, and every one of them had a significant registration. There was a Hawker Hunter that was registered G Hunt. There was a Red Sea Fury that was registered G Fury, and of course we got G Spit, which was the red Spitfire. So that's the first coat anyway. I'm just going to let that go off, and then I'm going to give it a second go. I'll probably use the whole bottle of this to give it its second coat, and then I've got this which I'm going to be using as well, which is a flat red, same as this. It's a little bit darker, but it's just going to give the model a bit more depth, and then once it's all dry we'll be able to varnish it then and make it look nice and shiny. But we've got to put a few little white details on it first, so we'll get all that sorted once it's dry, and we'll give it a second coat. Right gang, that's its second coat, and I'm about to hit it up with its probably third and final coat. This stuff is pretty light paint, so it's not going to add hardly any weight to it at all, but I want to try and get it so you can't really see any blemishes. I want to try and get it as solid as I can, so I'm going to give it one more coat, and that should be enough then, hopefully. So we'll go back into time-lapse mode for this one and see how it comes out. Probably seen there guys, I hit it with a much more predominant mixture of red paint. It came out a lot more with a lot more pressure, and it coated it a lot better. I don't know what it's like looking at it on the camera, but from what I can see here it is good enough. So I'm going to give that a chance to dry, and then basically give it a quick brushing over with a cloth just to take off any dust and whatnot, overspray dust once it's all dry. And then I can mask off where the white is going to go and spray the white on, and then get ready to varnish it basically. Right, we're starting to add a little bit of detail on guys. I've put white stripes on the bottom of the wings only, because that way I'll be able to tell which, oh I've got a friend, which way it's up. So leaving the top completely bare and the bottom with white stripes, that way I know that it is basically which way it's going. So I'm just going to put some black stripes on these now, not like D-Day stripes, some trim stripes, trim stripes, and then I've got some trim to go down the side of the fuselage, and then I've got the lettering to go on. And when I've done all that, I'll come back and show you the finished product, apart from varnish. And there we have it guys, one Spitty, or G-Fire as I've called it. Based it off a real Spitfire that was painted red, and as you can see, it takes a bit of time to put together, and the video obviously is quite long, but I wanted to make sure it was all in depth. But you can really go to town on the detail with these guys. Got the registration on the bottom of the wing, put some white stripes on the bottom to differentiate from top and bottom, and yeah, it's perfect. Another brilliant little model that's been built. I'm not going to show you where to put the servos and the battery and whatnot, but as you can see in here, I've not cut any of the hatches out yet. But going from the previous models that we've got built, the battery literally sits above the leading edge section of the wing here. So you can cut your hatch literally about 2 inches from the canopy, about so big, that's all it needs to be, literally about 3 inches long, 3.5 inches long. put a hinge on it, magnet underneath to hold the latch down, hold it shut, and that would be where your battery goes. And then your servos, you literally got 3 servos, and I put, because it's square the size of the servo there, push it into the wing, into the fuselage I should say, so it will go into the fuselage there, and then put your horn in, whichever horn type that you use, and connect that up, and same on the other side. And then I normally cut just at the back here a little square at the tail end section of the fuselage, where I put the elevator servo, feed the wire down, and that'll be where you put your elevator. And then just about here, again behind the leading edge of the top and bottom sections, your hatch will go there, and then that'll be where you put your receiver and plug all your servos into. But that's it, guys. You know, look at that. I mean, that is an awesome looking plane, and it goes really well with the other fighters as well. They all fly on a 3S 1300, and as you see, the sky's the limit regarding what colours you're putting them in. You can do them scale if you wanted to. I was contemplating and putting the Spitfire in a camo, but there's other guys that are going to do that, and I wanted to be different. You can go as far as putting spinners on, like I did with the Bonsai. I put a spinner on, which makes it look a little bit more sleek. Didn't with the GB, or with the Jupiter B, because he never had a spinner anyway. But I will be putting a spinner on the front of the Spitfire. I've got a little 1.5" diameter red spinner, which I'll put on the front of here for the Spitty, but I've not got that with me. So there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed that tutorial. Hope you didn't find it too boring. I know it's been quite long, but I wanted to make sure I got everything in there so you know exactly what it is you've got to do. Go to my Facebook page that I've created, the group that I've done for these models. It's called World Depron Dogfighters. Go on Facebook, look that up, and then come and join the gang. We've already got about 50 members since I started it a couple of days ago, and it's going up. So come along. You can download the plans off the Facebook page. You got it in tile format, A4, and you got it in normal A1 size if you've got a big printer, which most people haven't. But yes, you can download the plans and put them in your own inkjet printer and stick them all together. And you can even make your own templates, because like I say, all 3 of the planes that you see here are all roughly the same kind of construction, and the tail planes are about the only things that are different. Check out the video that I did as well of these aircraft flying. I flew the Bonsai, which you can see at the end there, the orange one, before I made this video, so I could include it in. You get to see how they fly, guys, as well, and believe me, they fly really, really well. These are becoming quite popular, and there's quite a few clubs around the world that have got just these, where they have competitions. I mean, it looks like we're going to be doing the same here, hopefully, if I can get more of the members to build them. But yeah, so watch that right at the end as well. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time on the channel. Take care, guys.